Donald Trump's administration has always been and will always be for the billionaires and by the billionaires. And someone who has done a better job, I think, than maybe anyone else in calling that out is not actually an elected Democrat. It is comedian and actor Bill Burr, who we, of course, know went off on Elon Musk and led Elon to stop his Twitter account from working because his feelings were just so hurt. But now he is setting his sights on Donald Trump and his Gestapo-like ICE police force in a brutal takedown that has Trump furious. We're going to get into it all. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into what Bill Burr had to say, I want a bit of context from Dan Goldman, who is delivering a similar call out. Let's listen to the congressman right here.
Arresting and detaining immigrants who were here to appear in front of a judge as part of their court case. This is Gestapo-like behavior, where plainclothes officers wearing masks are terrorizing immigrants who are doing the right thing by going to court, following up on their immigration proceedings, and trying to come into this country lawfully, which is through asylum. I worked with the Department of Homeland Security, I worked with ICE agents, I worked with Homeland Security's investigations. I have never seen any plainclothes officer wearing a mask. And I asked them, why are you wearing a mask? One person told me, because it's cold. I asked him if he would testify to that under oath, and he walked away and wouldn't respond to me. Another person admitted that they're wearing masks so that they are not caught on video. And my question to them is, if what you are doing is legitimate, is lawful, is totally above board, why do you need to cover your face? Law enforcement officers do not cover their face. And in fact, the Trump administration is cracking down on universities for allowing protesters to wear masks. So apparently it is not okay to wear a mask if you are protesting the government, but it is okay if you are the government to wear masks and in order to shield your face from the public.
I have read so many comments from y'all, and I have felt the same way every time I've saw them. Yeah, I am terrified that we have ICE officers wearing masks, not identifying themselves, kidnapping people off the street. These are not arrests. These are disappearances. These are kidnappings. It is terrifying. And why are they wearing those masks? Well, it's not because they think that what they're doing is super legal. Yeah, it might just be the opposite. And that is why Bill Burr went off on Donald Trump, went off on MAGA, went off on this entire administration, calling out their criminality and the ways that they are using it to try to divide and distract us. It was just so perfect from Bill Burr. I hope you take a listen to the whole thing. It was fantastic.
Interesting race. And then sadly, I saw these clips of ICE going in and just fucking ripping these people out of their homes, and mothers and grandmothers and children screaming, no warrant. If fellow U.S. citizens are like, what are you doing? They like intimidate them, arrest them and shit. This is like Gestapo type of stuff. And it just blows my mind that there's a certain ugly segment of the American population that's enjoying watching these families getting ripped out of their homes. And you somehow think that America is going to be better if this is done. Like, so what? So they took those people out. They're taking these brown people out that are living week to week. And somehow you feel like if they get them out of the country, your boss who's not paying you a living wage will suddenly start paying you a living wage. What would be a great thing is everybody read up on the history of these that have run these companies. They have not wanted to pay Americans a living wage ever. They've never wanted to pay us a living wage. And the only reason why they do is because there's laws. And the only reason why there is laws is because people died during protests to start unions. And the fucking psychos that run these companies didn't want to pay a living wage, and eventually they took their factories out of the country so they could go back to not paying a living wage in the form of sweatshop labor. And now they're eventually working their way towards this. The same billionaires that didn't want to pay in the 1800s, way back to the feudal system, they've never wanted to pay you. They don't want to pay you, and they just keep blaming people that don't look like you, that don't have any money or any sort of control over your life, and my people keep believing it. It's unfucking believable. Immigrants are not the reason why you can't make your rent. You can't make your rent because the guy that fucking employs you is not paying you enough money. He's not keeping up, or she's not keeping up with the rate of inflation. The sad fucking thing is there's enough money, there's enough food, there's enough shelter for everybody. But these super rich cunts want too much for themselves. And they're heartless. They don't give a f***. And when you start to tell them, hey, you're not paying us enough money, they go, oh, look at those fucking brown people over there. If we could just get them to stop jumping over a wall or get them out of their houses. If we could tear apart their families without a warrant, then I would somehow magically start paying you enough money where you could live comfortably and have health insurance. Unreal. And I got to tell you, the fucking people that are just watching this stuff, and you don't think that eventually, if you just co-sign on an agency being able to do that, just barge into somebody's fucking house like that, just start lining people up, asking questions, no warrants, just total intimidation, right? If you're signing off on that, you have to understand, do you really think that that's just going to stop there? Let's say they got all the illegal immigrants out of this country. That work still has to be done. So now who's doing that work? And what is the rich guy doing? Do you think he's going to pay American citizen wages? Is he going to let one nickel roll out of his pocket? Has that been your experience watching these super rich people? Just out of curiosity. Anyway, it's tragic. This is just a really mean, ugly, I can't even say period, I guess exposure, that it's just brought all of these super fucking overtly racist nationalist psychos to the forefront. It's even happening in like stand-up comedy. It's like, it's fucking wild. You know? I don't understand. Who knew that there was this many fucking people out there that felt oppressed if they couldn't be this fucking hateful? Anyway, but that doesn't mean you can't be a good person. You can combat all of this shit.
I know there's been a lot of really punditry and mainstream media coverage around, Democrats finding our Joe Rogan of the left. I think that concept, that kind of phraseology to describe combating a much more entrenched conservative media apparatus is not the perfect thinking. But if you wanted one, Bill Burr seems like a really great option. Now, that's not a role that you take on, but I think we need more Democrats mimicking his language and how he approaches messaging. He's not approaching messaging. He's talking like a person who understands these problems because they're so obvious. And we need our Democrats to speak a lot more like that. That's what we need to be saying, especially as threats come against members of Congress for calling out these criminal actions by Donald Trump's administration. And that was pointed out by Jasmine Crockett, of course, after we have seen Donald Trump call for arrest of members of Congress who are challenging and doing basic oversight over ICE. And I want to check that out from Jasmine Crockett right here.
So why would the Trump administration want to dismantle offices tasked with conducting oversight of immigration enforcement and detention facilities? The simple answer is, without them, there will be no internal oversight offices to assess the legality of the Trump administration's policies on immigration enforcement. So what have the results been? Since Trump took office on January 20th, 9 detainees have died in ICE custody. In fact, in Trump's first month in office, more detainees died in ICE custody than at any time since fiscal year 2020. Congressional Democrats have engaged in oversight activities of immigration facilities across the country, from Florida, where a 44-year-old Haitian woman died in ICE custody, to Newark, New Jersey, where 3 of our Democratic colleagues visited an immigration detention facility to ensure the humane treatment of detainees. This wasn't about going in and breaking nobody out, y'all, especially when there were cameras rolling everywhere. That's not what they were there to do. Now, in a breathtaking act of executive obstruction of congressional oversight and the unprecedented weaponization of the Department of Justice, we have an interim U.S. attorney for New Jersey who for years has argued in court that Donald Trump is above the law. She has announced criminal charges against Congresswoman McIver for, quote, impeding and interfering with law enforcement. However, our power as members of Congress to conduct oversight is found in the Constitution and federal law. In fact, federal law explicitly prohibits DHS from, quote, preventing a member of Congress from entering for the purpose of conducting oversight any facility operated by or for the Department of Homeland Security used to detain or otherwise house aliens, or to make any temporary modification at any such facility that in any way alters what is observed by a visiting member of Congress. It is against the law. Full stop. Separately, the court has consistently held that the speech and debate clause of the Constitution protects individual members from prosecution for legislative acts, including, quote, fact-finding, field investigations, and information gathering.
It is terrifying that Donald Trump thinks not only can he sick his masked thugs on you, but then when you try to hold them accountable, he can just go ahead and arrest you. That's the police state he wants to build that we have to fight back against, and we're going to be doing so on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.